Hello once again and welcome to Notes on Film. My name is Josue Peralta. This is day 5 of 10 as a review of this year's Academy Award nominees for Best Score and Best Picture. Today's film is Frankenstein, directed by Guillermo Del Toro. The composer for Del Toro's Frankenstein is Alexandre Desplat. Desplat and Del Toro have worked together now 3 times, this being their third, first starting with The Shape of Water, then Pinocchio, and then now Frankenstein. Desplat is known for being a faithful partner to the directors that he works with, being a renowned partner for directors like Roman Polanski and Wes Anderson. I'm ashamed to say that before doing the analysis of the score on this film, I don't think I ever knew of Desplat's work at all. That said, he is painted head to toe with accolades and nominations and wins from a lot of his work. Just to give you a picture, he has actually won the Triple Crown when it comes to Best Score for The Shape of Water. The Triple Crown here being the Academy Awards, the BAFTAs, and the Golden Globes. Including The Shape of Water, he has won 2 Oscars for Best Score, the other one being The Budapest Hotel, directed by Wes Anderson. And what was interesting about that win is that he beat himself out, having 2 nominations in the same year, beating himself in The Imitation Game. That's a rare feat that not many directors, even some of the GOATs, can say that they have.
But first, before talking about the score itself, let's go ahead and discuss the film a little bit for context. The film, as you might expect, goes into the story of Frankenstein, but specifically it focuses more on the Dr. Frankenstein, in this case, Victor Frankenstein, and his story. It first starts with the loss of his mother, and what that drives him to do is to try to cheat and beat death, where then someone offers him a ton of money to see if he can actually do that. And when the point comes, he quote unquote fails, but then it turns out that he does succeed and he does create what is just called the creature. With the same cruelty that his father would treat him, he would also treat the creature, ending in an attempt to try to actually just kill him by putting the tower or the place or the castle ablaze. The film then turns into a cat and mouse game, if I remember correctly, where he tries to find, they try to find each other. Specifically, the creature is looking for a partner, but then he said he won't give it to him, and chaos ensues, etc., etc. At the end, they reconcile, talking to each other and referring to each other as father and son. The end. So just like in the movie where we saw themes of loss, of parents, of love, and abandonment, and a longing for knowledge, I should say, we should expect the same themes in the music as well. It's at this point that we usually jump into the score and see how it played in the film, but this time around, I have to be honest and say that I saw it only once when it came out last year, and I haven't seen it recently enough in order to speak on it, on how it works in the film. So when I do speak on it, it'll be just through my hazy memory, so please take it with a grain of salt. As always, let me put on my Clark Kent glasses, just in case I'm too critical. I can blame it on it was that guy and not me. Okay, so how did the music play within the film itself? From what I can remember, I can just say it was idiomatic in that it really felt like it was written at that time, and it put you in that time frame auditorily. What I mean by that is that there are some movies that are set in the past that still have modern sounding music. This one does not. This one is very evocative in that you are submersed in the past and you stay there with the characters. You never once kind of get pulled out of the experience or get pulled out of the trance, so to speak, by the music at any point in time. Whereas other films that have been nominated in this cycle for the Academy Award for Best Picture have been incongruous with the film, meaning that what the music sounds and what you're seeing on screen do not match up, and that's on purpose. This one just take the congruous route, meaning that it's very congruent. In other words, it does feel like it's tailor-made for the film. But now, how does the score play as a standalone album? This one by far was the longest, at just shy of 2 hours. Another thing I noticed that I had to look up to make sure I was seeing things correctly was that a lot of this music, I think maybe like 75 or even more % of the music, had each song featuring an artist that I was like, wait, I don't know what's happening here. Who is that? This is the first time that I can remember, and perhaps I'm wrong in that, but it rings true for now, that a specific artist is featured in the song itself. In this case, it was Elbjorg Helmsing. I hope I pronounced that correctly. She is a solo violinist that was brought in to do her thing. And by doing her thing, I mean she was brought in to be the emotional core throughout the score itself for the creature. So whenever I heard that solo violin above the orchestra itself, I know, hey, you know what? This is supposed to be a creature moment. I see what they're going for. And she was featured in a lot of the tracks that I really liked. Overall, though, I thought the score was commendable and did its job well. I thought that bringing in its elements of gothic worked really well, and it was galvanizing at points too. That said, because the score was so long, I sometimes felt a little lost in some of the pieces, and by that I mean that they started blending in together a little bit more than I would have liked, and therefore the enjoyment for me went a little bit down with it, because it all started just kind of, again, blending in and sounding a little bit of the same as it kept going. That said, though, the album does have a cathartic end to it. It mirrors the film in that sense, and as a standalone album, it works well. It starts off good, has a middle portion which is just elite, and then kind of, again, tailors off for my taste, but again, it ends up with a cathartic and really nice resolution at the end. I mentioned just now that it had this really bright spot in the middle of the album that really, when you listen to it sequentially from, I'll mention it in my bangers section, that when you listen to it from that number to that number, it is a remarkable experience. So much so that I went back and I listened to just that portion multiple times, time and time again, because it did really move me. So that's something I will say, and that's something to write home about. Before moving on to the bangers or the songs that stood out to me, I do want to take a moment to talk about what the song names were like during the album. In this case, they were pretty forgettable. They were just names of the scenes or things that happened. For example, like Wolves, A Friend, Elizabeth, Victor and Elizabeth, things like that. Nothing to really write home about. Missed opportunity. Alexandre, if you're watching this, please don't come at me. Lastly, as always, let's talk about the bangers. For me, the score didn't really kick into high gear until track number 15, called Bodybuilding, that it then just kicked into its highest gear and kept it there all the way through track number 23. So from 15 to 23 out of 37 were just bangers straight through. I'll go ahead and name those now. The first one is Bodybuilding. That one is really exciting. Next, The Tower. Awakening, which is my favorite of the entire album. Awakening, I enjoyed that one very much. Followed by Everything Is New. 19 is Elizabeth Meets the Creature. Floating Leaf was a little change of pace, and I enjoyed it. We can skip 21, which is Harlander's Body. It's only 56 seconds anyway. That one didn't really make an impact. But my second favorite was Fire. That one's number 22. And then lastly, 23, Creature's Tale. That one was so good and then it went into Hunters, Family Life. Family Life was good. And then from Wolves onward, it kind of just went back into forgettable territory. Okay, maybe that's a little harsh, but it went into just homogenous territory and so on until the very end, wherein, again, like I said, it closed marvelously with the last two that I wrote down were Forgiveness. That one felt wholesome. That one felt right. That one felt completeness, followed by Eternity. It's kind of like the epilogue and like, yeah, you know what? This is nice. I'm glad I watched this and I'm glad that they got to reconcile. So that one was a nice bookend to just this pretty good score, I would say. And so, with the critic part done, let me go ahead and give my final thoughts on Alexandre Desplat's score of Frankenstein. So whereas an 8, 9, or 10 is Hall of Fame territory, a 5, 6, and 7 ranges from good to very good, I would give this one a 7. It's just shy of the Hall of Fame, but it is good enough to warrant a listen, again, of that chunk that I mentioned. And if you listen to it in its entirety, you're not going to be regretful of it. You're going to enjoy it. But again, that heart of it is really what brings it home for me and what's going to give you the biggest punch, I think. Where I think it could have been stronger after that is probably just because it was following the story and not trying to be its own album, so I don't necessarily blame it there either. It's the kind where if I have to listen to it again, I won't mind, but it's not one I'll necessarily look for year after year, but if I run into it, it's not one that I'll skip. That's pretty much how that would rank. But anyway, those are just my thoughts. I'd love to know what you thought about it. If you have differing thoughts, please let me know down below, or if they're really spicy comments, you can find me personally on Instagram at It's Attractive. I can take the heat, no problem there. And also, if you have any suggestions for any other scores that you want me to cover. Right now, I have to go back and listen to Desplat's body of work to make sure that I'm much more attuned to what his style is and I can enjoy a little bit more, and I suggest that you do the same. But anyway, I will see you all tomorrow on day 6 of 10 as we review this year's Academy Award nominees for Best Score, which we just finished today, and the remaining 5 are for Best Picture, or the other 5 in the Best Picture category that are nominated. See you all then. Take care. Peace.